Hey, what's up everyone? Today I wanted to make a shorter version of my last video because in the last video regarding how I broke bad to leave the community that I was in, it was pretty long. It was like 40 minutes. So I had to really get into the mood and get into the details. And that's always very hard to do, especially for someone who is still on their healing journey. So if you don't want to see the whole 40 minutes, just watch this one and I'll be breaking down why I left. So before I even left, I asked permission to leave. And the truth is, now that I can look hindsight, I had every right to leave. Everyone has freedom. And that freedom that I had to leave was violated. And they gave me this fear that if I leave, I'm going to be cursed by God. I'm going to be a misfit. I'm going to receive hexes and curses and all of these negative things. And that these curses are going to flow down to my family from generation to generation. And so I still had the courage to ask, I want to leave. But now that I am seeing the facts of how things were, I could have just left. But the reason why I stayed was because of fear, because I saw that these people were holy people. And that's the hard thing for me now, even now, because in the community that I was in, it was half cultish and the other half were the most amazing people, good people who didn't apply those cult-like behaviors or tactics. And so that kind of had me feeling guilty. Oh, if I leave, I'm going to abandon these people. And so that's also another reason why I stayed. But another reason why I stayed was because of shame. And I hear this from people from other communities, other religions, where they're afraid to be excommunicated or disfellowshipped for the smallest things. And even though in my community they say that they're Catholic, it's not excommunication per se, because they can't do that. The group that I was in can't give excommunication, but the way they treat you is, well, as a member, we were taught and trained to look at the ex-members. We would have a nickname for them. We would call them the hexed members. So hex refers to something like, being cursed or have spell on a wicked spell on you. So we would look at these individuals, these ex-members, as hexed, as not loved by God, as living a life where they are going to be a misfit. So seeing all of that and hearing all of that, it was hard because I joined at 16, 17. And when I requested to leave, I was probably around 25, 26. And at that time, I had started to apply critical thinking. And critical thinking, as you know, is the biggest sin, is the mother of all sins for cults. Because the way cults work is you have to stop thinking. You just have to obey. And another thing that we were taught was don't even have expressions. It was in our examination of conscience one year where you couldn't have an expression. You couldn't have negative expression, especially if you didn't like the obedience. So we were trained to be like robots, to just execute whatever obedience was given. And for me, when I asked to leave, the obedience was, no, you can't leave. Here are your tickets. Go to the Philippines and just forget about it. And so that was hard. But at the same time, in my mind, I have these, I have this movement of, I don't think that this is where God wants me. I feel this place to be toxic for me. And maybe a hard thing is that I saw that not everyone received the same treatment that I did. And there are individuals who have shared with me that they had great experiences, and I'm happy for them. Because when you join the religious life, it is not supposed to be abusive. It is not supposed to be toxic. And to hear that other members had good experiences, I'm happy for them. And I wish them the best. However, in my experience, it was toxic. And That's why it was so hard for me to leave, because I had all of this fear of punishment, of shame that I would bring to my family, that I would bring to future generations, and that my life would be, I would be a walking curse. Another big reason why I couldn't leave, but I wanted to leave, was the toxic environment. And that kept me longer than I should have, stayed there, because the toxicity, the way superiors talked down on me, how they would shame me even in the homilies or even outside of the homilies, or how, sometimes there were beatings, false accusations, and you're taught that even if you're falsely accused, you have to be like Jesus and just take it. But it becomes toxic. And if someone with that cult like mentality is still listening, they would be saying, and I know this because I was there for so long, over a decade. So I'm an expert in this. They would be thinking, "Oh, he couldn't take the cross. Ryan he wasn't strong enough." Or they would say, "He didn't persevere in loving Jesus. See how weak he was." Now that's a lie, because they say that I've abandoned the cross, that or ex-members in general, that they abandoned the cross, that they didn't persevere, that they were weak, that they weren't strong. The truth is, when there's brainwashing, manipulation, coercion, when there are beatings, when there are false accusations, gaslighting, when they use religion to say things like that, like, "Oh, he left the cross," that isn't the cross. That isn't love. And that's the mistake that many of these people have made, is that they're seeing abuse as the cross. And that's how I saw God's love. I thought God's love was to really beat you down, either through psychological abuse or even physical abuse. I thought that was God's love. But then I started analyzing, and it's abuse. And I was just so mixed up in my emotions, in my heart, and my mind and my heart were never together. And so if you're in a situation where people are telling you that this is God's love and it's abusive, it's violating your freedom, it's deceptive, then I just wanted to say that you're not being bad. And I was taught that I was being bad for questioning. And so I broke bad in a sense. But now looking at it, hindsight, I see that it was a guilt that cults want you to have. They want you to have that guilt for having left them. And it took me years to understand that maybe I didn't leave the way I wanted to leave, but at the same time, there were so many evil things happening, and I had to get away. And by me sharing my story, I hope that I can prevent other people from leaving, I guess, the wrong way, or a way that they don't want to leave. I didn't want to leave kind of like a bad sheep, but I had to. At that time, I had to. There was no one to listen to me. There was no one to understand. And even if I did reach out so many times, they'd call me homophobic slurs, and nothing against people who are gay or bi, nothing against them. And it just bothered me. It's like, why does it have to be so childish? So it's hard to communicate with these people because they don't want to think. They also are trained not to think critically. So if you're in a position where you probably feel guilty and you feel, yeah, I had to break bad to leave, I had to drink alcohol to become disfellowshipped or to get cut off, or, stupid small things that aren't really bad in itself. Me personally, I had to work. and I still am working on forgiving myself. And I hope that, by me sharing my healing journey, maybe it brings some light to other people that healing is possible, but it is one journey. And that journey, you have to start somewhere. And so I'm in the middle of my healing journey. And if you are afraid to get on that healing journey, I wish you the best. And if you are healed or you've already gone through your healing journey, I hope you can support people like me, support other people who are feeling alone, feeling abandoned, and give them the encouragement that is necessary. So thank you very much. I love you all. Peace out.